Greetings, all! Today, we'll be examining the exceptionally rare water-type Pokemon Oshawott, the Sea Otter Pokémon, its equally rare evolution Dewott, the Discipline Pokémon, and its equally rare water-type or water-dark type in the Hisuian region, Pokemon Samurott, the Formidable Pokémon. While they might make for cute little fighters at a young age, the members of the Oshawott family can eventually grow up to become powerful combatants whose actions and code of honor defy normal conventions for beasts of their type.
Oshawott are small mammals with light blue fur covering their torso and white fur covering their head and digititless arms and hands. Their three-toed feet, paddle-like tail and ears are dark blue in color, and they have a large brown nose, small mouth, black eyes, and a large scalp-like growth called a scout chop on the front that they use for offense. Their evolved form, Dewott, are bipedal like their pre-evolved form, but have light blue fur covering most of their body, with a pair of dark blue fur sprigs that cover much of their lower torso and act as housing units for the scout chops they use for offense. Their feet, three-fingered hands and arms, ears, and tail having turned black in color. They further have a large pair of V-shaped white whiskers on their face and a large jagged crest that rests on the back top of their head. Their final evolution, Samurott, have taken a quadrupedal stance with dark blue fur covering most of their form, save for the tips of their three-fingered upper limbs and digititless back feet, their tail having taken on a fan-shaped form to it with light blue flesh and a bar of beige armor in the middle that helps to make them more efficient at steering in the water when swimming. They have a light blue underbelly, ribbed beige armor that covers their legs and acts as a housing unit for the massive blades in their front limbs they use for offense, and they feature a large shell-shaped armor growth on their heads with a single massive horn, large white plumes of beard-like whiskers on their face, and bright orange eyes. In addition, these creatures possess a unique variant seen in the confines of the Hisuian region, and mainly look the same as the Unovan counterpart, save for the fact that their digits have turned a maroon-red color, and the shell armor has become much lighter in terms of weight, and has turned a purplish-black color with maroon-red streaks of color on it, as well as possessing a more twisted horn on their head armor.
The similarities that lie between the members of the Oshawott family and the Japanese samurai has been an issue among scholars for ages, as the obvious presence of their ocean between them would otherwise suggest that they never even met each other before the late 600s, when the first inklings of the samurai culture began to arise.
From what can be told, however, it appears that Oshawott were in fact once native to Japan, much like throwing sock, and then somehow managed to make their way across the ocean and onto the mainland of the United States. Since these creatures are adapted to life on both water and on land, this isn't as wholly skeptical as with the previously mentioned examples, but it does beg the question as to why these creatures are no longer found in Japan naturally, and why they would have moved in the first place. Based on historical records, it appears these creatures were driven away in large numbers after the last major samurai conflict, when the Meiji Restoration led to radical changes that all but destroyed the Order of the Samurai. Since it is presumed that the Oshawott family was used to teach prospecting samurai how to fight, the loss of one would negate the usefulness of the other. With nowhere else to go, these creatures may have then traveled for long distances until they found a tract of land where predators were not too dangerous to overcome, that land being North America. It is duly noted, however, that little factual evidence is present to indicate this history, and it is only mentioned because no other hypotheses hold greater ground. The fact that the Oshawott family was responsible for the creation of the traditional samurai, on the other hand, is undeniable. As far as how this impacts them in terms of abilities, while these creatures are normally tied very strongly to their natural water-type powers, and thus have access to Torrent as their only base ability, those that have stronger, more durable weapons and armor can also have access to Shell armor as a hidden ability, while Hisuian Samurott are also so adept at using their devious cutting strikes that the most skilled among them can potentially have access to the rare Sharpness ability as a hidden ability instead. In terms of stats, in the case of Samurott, these beasts are built to be able to engage in any sort of combat effectively, and make good use of their physical and special attacks to strike down others. And while their agility and defensive attributes might not be the strongest suit, their base speed, defense, and special defense stats being below average for a fully evolved water-type Pokemon, the rest of their stats are above average, more than earning them the title of the Formidable Pokémon on those merits alone. Oshawott carry around a special shell-like object referred to as a scout chop for use in their martial arts training. The appearance of the object is merely a deception, however, as the shells are actually constructed out of the same keratin compounds found in their claws. Aside from making them exceptionally sturdy and strong when properly taken care of, this allows Oshawott to grow new scout chops from their bodies if their current one is heavily damaged or lost, though the process can take several weeks. While they usually use their scout chops to crack open hard barriers in the wild as a form of sustenance, when threatened or attacked by any sort of creature or object, Oshawott will instantly retaliate by slashing the offender with their scout chop at close range, hopefully catching them off guard long enough for Oshawott to deliver the finishing blow with their water gun attack. While they can initially only do a little bit of damage with these preemptive strikes, Oshawott will eventually become skilled enough to utilize their Scout Hubs to deliver a particularly unique and destructive Razor Shell attack. Aside from being relatively powerful, this attack has a 50% chance of lowering the opponent's defense stat with every blow, making it potentially devastating in long battles. Mastery of this attack is significant among Oshawott, as they and their evolutions are among the few that are capable of actually learning the attack, and in most circumstances, mastery of the move is almost immediately followed by evolution.
In order to increase their combat effectiveness upon mastery of their Razor Shell attack, Dewott developed a second Scout Hub immediately after evolving.
The addition of a second Scout Hub more than doubles these creatures' combat effectiveness by allowing them to chain multiple attacks together without any interruption, placing opponents that cannot get in a blow between their assaults in a bind. What truly makes Dewott dangerous in comparison to Oshawott, however, is the fact that they rely more on disciplined training and non-sudden retaliation to do damage. Since the Scout Hubs are just as dangerous towards themselves as they are towards others, Dewott must train extensively in order to perfect their flowing Scout Hub techniques so as to minimize the chance of personal injury. Aside from making them effective in terms of sheer damage potential, this training has the added benefit of calming Dewott and allowing them to think their way through battles instead of relying on pure instinct to win, often overcoming human blade masters and sending them running in turn. When non-battleware training, Dewott mainly spend their time either hunting for small fish or sharpening their Scout Hubs, ensuring that they are always ready for any kind of battle. Strangely enough, Scout Hub techniques tend to differ between individual Dewott, sometimes widely. This appears to be the direct result of them utilizing their own Scout Hubs in manners that maximize the effectiveness of their Scout Hubs in regards to their physical structure, similar to how a traditional swordsman specializes in techniques that favor their particular sword of choice. This indicates an exceptionally high level of weapon expertise that is otherwise unseen in the Pokémon world, only adding to the unique danger that these critters pose.
Although the large frames prevent them from walking on two legs constantly, unlike their pre-evolved forms, Samurott are still expert weapon specialists that know how to use their bodies to deliver devastating blows in a heartbeat.
Samurott usually use the massive horn in their heads as their primary means of physical offense, striking with devastating Mega Horn attacks until the opposition falls. If their horn does not prove to be maneuverable enough, however, Samurott will choose to rely instead on the massive spear-point-shaped blades they hold on their interior legs, sheathed within the sturdy armor that covers their legs. These blades are in fact the Scout Hubs they possess as Dewott, transformed through evolution into weapons called scimitars. While these blades can allow Samurott to deliver massive slash attacks, which they learn immediately after evolving, capable of filling most opponents in a single blow, they generally must stand on the high lengths to make them effective. This can normally be done for only a few moments at a time, but strict training can lengthen this time to several dozen minutes. Moreover, the reaction time that most opponents have to work with is fairly small, as Samurott can easily draw their blades from the legs within the blink of an eye, and thus make it very difficult for the opposition to prepare a counterattack of any sort. Even in terms of appearances, Samurott often prove to be quite intimidating in the eyes of the opposition. It should be noted, however, that while they are visually impressive in their own right, this appears to be more due to the vibrant aura of honor they exude at all times. Regardless of the reason behind it, this aura of honor that surrounds Samurott allows them to effectively silence all whom they choose to stare at, not to mention the fact that their intimidating cry is enough to paralyze most smaller opponents. Without thick armor or some other form of exceptional protection, there's little chance of any opponent lasting long against the Samurott, especially if they are veteran combatants and have used their swords extensively throughout their lives.
It is lastly noted that Samurott are one of only a few species of Pokémon known to have unique variant within the confines of the Hisui region.
In this region, these creatures are water dark types, possess slightly decreased base HP, defense, special attack, and special defense stats, a slightly increased base attack stat, and a moderately increased base speed stat, resulting in the base speed stat additionally being above average for a fully water type Pokemon, while having above average HP, special attack, and speed stats for a fully evolved dark type Pokemon, and have access to the Night Slash, Dark Pulse, Sucker Punch, and Ceaseless Edge attacks. For reasons that are not entirely certain, the harsh nature of the ancient Hisui region once allowed Samurott to take on a unique form after evolution, and the resulting change not only altered the physical form, but also the behavior and the power that was at their disposal. Unlike Unovan Samurott, these creatures have little sense of honor to them, and are instead cold and hard-hearted in nature, eschewing any sense of a fair fight and using every tactic at their disposal to devastate their opponents, even if it means relying on cheap shots and surprise attacks to take out the competition. In fact, they will often stay still and silent until they see an opponent get within range of their attacks, before suddenly drawing their scimitars and thrusting them into their enemies, a tactic that not only allows them to gain access to the Night Slash attack immediately after evolving, but also serves the basis for the signature Ceaseless Edge attack, a powerful blow that can keep harming the opposition long after the attack has been executed. Their attacks can readily confuse and overwhelm even the strongest of foes like waves, repeatedly crashing against the shore, and given that the wounds that their attacks leave can take many years to heal and recover from, it can easily be said that these variants are a quick and terrifying force to behold in any close-quarters brawl.
While they might seem too adorable at a young age to ever be a serious threat, the members of the Oshawott family are powerful fighters that can make for loyal combatants in just about any sort of battle. Oshawott are eager fighters that enjoy playing just as much as fighting, and while they can be a bit on the rambunctious side for some, they are still worth working with for the sheer potential and fun they can have in practice. Dewott are impressed in regards to their disciplined nature, as while they might always not hit the hardest, they can make up for this with dazzling offensive strategies that allow them to make the most of the weapons at their disposal, always training and developing new skills in order to be the very best fighters they can be. All of this culminates in their evolution into Samurott, and while they might seem to be a bit unwieldy in terms of close-quarters fighting, since they must stand on their hind legs to make the most of their scimitars, they are far more flexible than they look and have the back muscles needed to get in close and deliver devastating combos against any that get too close to them, serving as a great complement to the potent special attacks they also get access to naturally. I would advise extreme caution on both ends if in the presence of the Hisuian variant, however, as their greater agility and physical power can make them a dire threat to deal with, and the lack of honor means that anything is up for grabs in terms of tactics, even if it might result in some serious injuries. As a whole, these beasts really show both the good and bad sides of samurai culture, and can more than prove to be a force to be reckoned with if they can't be taken out quickly.
Skilled users of their own organic weapons, and more than able to strike down those that would dare to try and dishonor them, the members of the Oshawott family can be useful fighters to have access to for the useful mix of both physical and special offense. They might take a dark turn to their nature in certain situations, but there is no denying that either way they can be a challenge to overcome and more than worthy of their species' title as adults.
Just do yourself a favor and make sure to never underestimate them in any situation, or these mammals will gladly show you the sort of cutting edge they can wield as they cut you and anything else in the way to ribbons with well-placed bladed strikes.
Thank you for watching this video. It brings me great joy to be able to speak to you all in the world each and every time we meet like this, to explore the many different facets of both the world of Pokemon as we know it, and the world as we live it, through every adventure we have with Pokemon by our side. If you'd like to, please subscribe, ring the bell and all that jazz, to keep yourself updated on content uploads and other materials of the like. You can also follow me on Twitter if you'd like to know right away when something new is uploaded, and my written works, from which most of this is based on, can be found on DeviantArt. Links to both can be found in the description down below. Remember that the world of Pokemon is a place full of wonder and mystery, and you never know what to expect. So, stay vigilant, keep watch, and always be prepared for the unexpected. Until next time, trainers and friends of all sorts, have a wonderful time.